Welcome to the Showcase Pro Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Blackheart. We are live from the 1776 studio, hosted by Dan Bedante. I have a special guest today in studio.
I'll say it myself. Special guest, Danny Cabral.
Now, before we get started,
we got our guest on.
All right, we do have a guest. We're going to announce him in a second. We are putting an APB out right now for Don Vega. He is missing in action. I am not sure if he got kidnapped by the Mighty Midgets in another event or if he's doing something
Dastardly.
Awful.
Dastardly. Don Vega.
Something that should not be done.
Something that should not be done.
In August. Going to a football game.
Yeah.
I think he's at, I'm saying Foxborough Stadium.
Foxborough Stadium.
With Little Killer, Jay Hollywood, watching the Patriots versus the Eagles. That's what I think he's doing.
The Patriots versus the Eagles?
I believe so.
Listen, I don't watch football personally.
I don't either.
But I think if you have the Patriots going against the Eagles, the Patriots might win.
Right, but it's preseason. Yeah. I'll watch the Patriots. I'm not a football guy. So everybody knows that Don Vega would rather watch football than be on the pod every week at 9 p.m. as consistent. Well, with that being said, we have our guest over here, special guest, and author Jeremy Housewright. Jeremy, how are we doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm glad we're actually finally have you on. It's been a couple of months since we spoke, but yes, I thought you have a interesting tie and twist. So I'm like, let's get Jeremy on, tell him his story, and let's go.
Right on. Yeah, glad to be here, guys. I appreciate it. Apologize for having to cancel on you a couple times, but one of my side gigs is I photograph concerts. So with it being summer, I'm pretty busy. So tonight's one of my rare nights where I'm not shooting anything.
Well, as long as it wasn't for like a preseason Kansas Chiefs game, I wouldn't hold it against you.
Well, now it's Kansas City. We don't call them Kansas Chiefs. So
see, I'm not a football guy. You're lucky you figured I got that. I could have called them the Royals, to be honest with you.
Hey, that's my baseball team, so that's fine with me. And if they were playing tonight, I'd probably have the game on in the background.
All right, so Jeremy, what's the name of your book? Tell the people out there.
Sure. The name of my book is called For the Love of the Show, Pro Wrestling Fans Tell Their Stories.
All right, Danny. Now, Jeremy, we are going to put a link up there. Danny's going to find it where you can always plug it, because the idea is I went through the book. I liked the book. We actually have some Rhode Island ties, which I didn't realize, so I'm going to ask you some questions with that.
Right on.
How did it actually start?
So I've been a sports writer for 20 years, and I've always wanted to write a book. And I'd start something, and I just wouldn't have the passion to finish it. And a few years ago, I started traveling to different wrestling events. We went to a couple WrestleManias and met some really cool friends that we never would have met if it wasn't for going to these wrestling shows. Like, we met a guy from Canada who actually came down and stayed at my house, and I took him to a Chiefs game. And we've been friends ever since. I met some guys from LA who I'm boys with, and we've met in Las Vegas for some shows and things like that. So I decided, you know what, some of the shenanigans we got into on these trips, it would make a good story. So I started writing that, and then I thought, you know what, there's got to be people with other stories that are even more interesting and fun to hear than mine. So I kind of put some feelers out on social media and had a couple people in mind already who I wouldn't have minded writing about. And just started working on it, started conducting interviews, and that's kind of how it came to be.
Now, going through it, there is different, I don't want to say characters, but there's different chapters with different people that are kind of unrelated. say the least.
Yes.
So how did you come up with that format? And if I'm not mistaken, there's 5 chapters with.
There's 6 chapters about my story, and then 6 other chapters about other individuals.
Yeah. So how did you come up to choose them, and why? Because they're totally different.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I chose each one of them, because I didn't want any story to be the same, and I wanted them all to be inspirational. I wanted them all to paint a positive light for wrestling fans, because the one thing I've learned being in the sports writing industry is the pro wrestling business kind of has a negative connotation still to this day when you talk to sports writers who don't know pro wrestling. So I wanted to make sure that I portrayed the art form in a positive light, because it's something that means a lot to me, something that I've enjoyed since I was 6 years old. And, each of these individual stories not only paint wrestling in a positive light, but they're also motivational. So that's why I chose those 6.
I think, you touched it when you were talking about being diverse. One of the things that I tell people when they start training at the Showcase Pro Wrestling Training Center is that on paper, there's no reason why, the demographics of like 15 to 53, male, female, straight, gay, all different kind of education, all different kind of occupations. On paper, there's no reasons why these people should be together, but It's this thing called pro wrestling that does, and it's kind of incredible when you think about it. It's
a special thing, and I mean, I come from a very educated background. I have a doctorate. I'm a teacher, and I go to these wrestling events, and I'm hanging out with guys who are police officers, guys who are lawyers, guys who are doctors, guys who are trash men, guys who are, some of them might be unemployed. But we all have one thing in common, and that's we all love professional wrestling. And, I always tell people this, I consider this book a love letter to pro wrestling.
One of my favorite characters on there that I was intrigued about, there was a gentleman that got a tattoo.
Yeah, Justin.
Yes. Tell me about Justin.
So I remember when I found out about Justin, I was actually sitting in parent-teacher conferences, killing some time because I was working in Kansas City at the time, and I didn't have any parents come to see me, so I was just sitting in the library waiting until we got off, and I happened to be just scrolling through Twitter or something like that, and I saw this picture of this guy with this winged title belt tattooed around his waist. And I'm like, holy crap, this is crazy. And I started reading up on him, and come to find out he's originally from St. Louis, where I'm from, and now he lives on the East Coast. But I was able to find out his name, so I reached out to him and I asked him a bunch of questions about the tattoo, and we talked, and he wound up calling me, and I think we talked for probably 2 or 3 hours one night, and I just asked him all about, how long he'd been a wrestling fan, what led him to get this tattoo, and it kind of just all came together, and his story is kind of cool, the way he got the tattoo and how long it took to get it done and the things he went through to actually get it. It's the actual, before he got it done, he actually called WWE and got the actual specs of the original title. So everything is as close to true form as it can get. So yeah, that was a pretty cool story.
I like, because does he live in Rhode Island now, or?
I believe he lives somewhere near there. Yes.
All right, because that's when I was reading it. That's what intrigued me.
Yeah.
I'm like, for that dedication, I think we got to give him some tickets to a showcase wrestling event. So
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that's that I have a CM Punk tattoo, but nothing around my entire waist. I mean, that's amazing.
where's your dedication, Danny? You don't have a belt like that? Oh, I'm sorry, I can't.
We'll get to that in a minute. Okay.
Danny is literally beltless today. Not even a tattoo around his pinky or waist. We'll get into what happened last Saturday night.
We'll get into that later. For now, we have questions about your book
Sure.
that pertains to professional wrestling, right?
Absolutely.
Now, tell me about the wrestler, right?
The wrestler. Okay,
Yes.
Kurt.
Because I liked his story. And Danny, actually, why don't we do we have a plug? What's the link? Where can people get this book?
So people can go to Amazon and search For the Love of the Show, Pro Wrestling Fans Tell Their Stories. Or you can go to my direct website, jeremyhousewright.com, and get a copy of it from there.
Barnes and Noble's out of it too.
Barnes and Nobles.
All right, so
Barnes
Danny,
and Noble. You can go online in Barnes and Noble as well.
so we'll let Danny find the link and put it up there. And the reason I asked that, when I was reading it, his story and his word as wisdom is it's kind of inspiring, because the fact that I have no idea who he is, right? The fact that he's in the business about 13 years,
Yeah.
and you'll appreciate this, Danny. Knowledge is king.
Knowledge is power.
Remember we used to say that when you were part of that other group? But just to hear, and that's the weird part about wrestling, is that the fundamentals and the basics, it doesn't change no matter where you are, throughout the world or throughout the United States. That his story and his hardship and everything he went through is real, and people can learn from it. So that's why I liked it. So
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, that was a big part of it. I came across him on social media, and I used to see him posting, ads for upcoming matches in Kansas and Kansas City and things like that. And I happened to start following him because a couple of guys that I knew on the indie scene wrestled in the same some of the same shows that he was in at the time. And I just found his story to be fascinating, because he basically was on the brink of signing a contract with NWA, and he tore his shoulder up and lost everything that he had worked for in wrestling, and literally had to not only get surgery, but then work his way back up from the bottom back to where he is now. So it was a really cool story of just working to achieve a goal, and I think that his story is one that I think all of us can relate to, even if you're not a wrestling fan. I think we've all had that goal that maybe we've been really close to achieving, and then had the rug pulled out from underneath us and had to start all over. So that's one of the reasons I decided to go with that story for the book.
what's the update on him today?
So Kurt is wrestling in the Indies. He's still living in Kansas, but he wrestles in like Oklahoma and Iowa and places like that. He is starting to make waves again on the scene, and I would not be surprised if he gets a shot with NWA very soon.
I'll have you read it, Danny. You'll enjoy it. And we have someone actually who trains with us. We're on the sideline with a back injury, D-Rex. So D-Rex, you see that link? Is it $15 or $18 on Amazon?
On Amazon, it's only 12, I believe.
12. All right,
Yeah.
so it was $24 for you, D-Rex. Danny will buy it for you. There's $12
I'm
shipping.
not gonna buy it for him. He can buy himself. I'm sure he has a lot of merch money.
Merch money, yeah. So read the story, D-Rex, because it's actually is very similar. You know, and I told him stories about, you know, my starting in pro wrestling with the injuries that I got and surgery. So some days you have to hear it a couple of times from different sources. What about book number 2? Any update on that, or?
Yeah.
Second
I
book.
actually am. So all my interviews are complete for the second book. I've decided to write a sequel because a lot of people have said, you know, you need to write another one. So I've probably have about 13 people who are going to be in the next one. And like I said, all the interviews are pretty much complete. And I plan on starting to write it probably by the end of this month or the beginning of September, depending on my schedule. It'll probably take me 3 to 4 months to write it, and then I'll send it off to editing, formatting, and all that. So my goal is I would like to have it out before the end of the year. You know, if all goes well, I should, but you know, probably at the latest January for the next one. And you know, some of the stories I have are, I'm telling everybody, this next one's going to be bigger and better because I go out of the United States for this next one. I talked to a gentleman who lost a bunch of weight by doing DDP yoga, and Diamond Dallas Page actually would call this guy just to check up on him occasionally. You know, out of the blue, just would randomly call him and check on him. I tell a story about a young man in Africa who started making, and you may have seen some of these on social media, he makes videos of Roman Reigns entrances. And Roman Reigns actually sent him
you did.
No, like
title belts.
randomly.
So I talked to that young guy from Africa, and I tell his story. And then I have, you know, a story about a news reporter in Kansas City who it's always been his dream to be a ring announcer. And now he is actually working with a indie company doing their shows every month that they have their live shows. You know, so there's a lot of different stories. A lot of them, there's like 3 or 4 that revolve around Cody Rhodes, actually. His interaction with different fans and you know, how much that's meant to those young kids and things like that. So there's a lot of cool stories. Actually, one up in New York, a teacher who runs a group called the, what are they called? The Wrestling Club. They're out of the inner city in New York, and they're 7th graders, and it's a club that he started. And they get together and they watch wrestling and they talk about it. And some of the pro wrestlers have actually come and talked to them. Mark Henry, Sasha Banks, Swerve, guys like that have come and they've met with the kids. And actually, Cody actually paid for all them to go to the past WrestleMania. So I talked to him as well. So there's going to be some really cool stories. Again, more motivational, positive stories. And like I said, this next one's going to be bigger and better because now I got one under my belt, and I want this one to be even better.
Just how did you go through that process? Did you know anyone in the publisher space, or what was that journey like?
That was the toughest part. Yeah. Writing for me comes natural. I remember one day I was at school and I supervised study hall, so I got free time. I remember one day I literally sat down and cranked out 25 pages in one day. And but once I finished, the publishing part was the challenge because I didn't know anyone really in the publishing business. I have some contacts of people who work for PR companies who deal with publishers. Publishing is very expensive. So I found that my best route was to self-publish. So I went through Amazon, and they have a very good self-publishing company. and you don't make quite as much money off your books with them, but they walk you through step by step. So I was able to use that, and then I hired an editor. I hired a person to format my book for me, and yeah, once I had those two done, I was good to go. I just sent it in, and they put it all together and sent me the first copy.
The reason I asked that, we had two authors on our podcast a while ago. We had Sheldon Goldberg, and then we also had Kenny Casanova.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason I mentioned that, not knowing how you did it. I think Kenny's on his third or fourth book. With one of the last ones he did was on Kamala. Mm-hmm. So if you need any, connections on there, I'd be happy to forward his information. Again, you never know. He fell into it by accident a couple of years ago. And same with Sheldon. I think Sheldon, that was his first book, that he did. So you just never know. So
Right. Yeah. And that's one thing that's been cool about this is I've met some other authors, and it's cool just to get together and pick their brain and find out, what they found was easy, what they found was difficult, and things like that, because it's tough getting your book out there today. People would think, oh, with social media it's so easy. It's really not. It's difficult, and you got to rely on shows like this, and word of mouth is huge. I mean, I've done a couple signings at some indie wrestling events, and those have went okay. But yeah, a lot of it is just putting the word out there, and hoping that people talk, and that it spreads like wildfire, hopefully. So I'm very proud of it. I think that everyone involved is very proud to be involved with it. I mean, I've gotten countless emails from some of the other individuals who are in the book, and they're just elated that I included them. They never expected to be written about, so they're very honored to be a part of it, and I was honored to have them to be able to tell their story as well.
Is there a topic that you want to write in regard to wrestling that either, I would say, you're afraid to write, could be controversial or questionable, or?
That's a good question. I've done a lot of PR work with the WWE in the last few years, and obviously, if I ever had the opportunity to tell the entire truth about the Vince McMahon accusations, I would love to. It would probably burn some bridges with WWE that I've been able to create over the last few years, but as a journalist, I've interviewed presidents, I've interviewed professional athletes, musicians, comedians. I'm not afraid to, tell the truth when it comes to a topic. So that would be something I would be interested in telling. I doubt it will ever happen, but other than that, I think it would be cool to follow some of these young guys around who are signed to developmental deals and just have access to them for a year and see what they go through, to try to make it in the WWE, and, to be able to tell that story so people can see the behind the scenes of what something like that, takes, because, for every guy who makes it like a Chad Gable or somebody like that, there's probably 10,000 other guys who don't even sniff the surface. Mm-hmm. So I think just getting the opportunity to tell one of those stories so we could see a behind the scenes and not sugarcoat it, no offense to anybody, but when you see those WWE documentaries, as well done as they are,
oh, yeah,
we all know that they're sugarcoating everything.
Yeah, or rewriting history to
Yeah.
reflect not just better, but maybe forgetting about some other things.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You know, so to be able to really tell a story with no bias and not worried about who I would upset or anything like that, I think I would jump at the opportunity to do that. I mean, um, but like I said, it would probably burn some bridges. But you know what? That's okay. If they really are I always tell people if you make somebody mad in what you write, you're probably doing your job. You know, and if people respect quality journalism and strong journalism, they'll understand that that's our job, is to tell the truth, and they will understand that. So that would be pretty cool. You know, maybe writing the life story of somebody. I've always been a big fan of Mick Foley. Mick's always treated me great when I've done stuff with him, when I've interviewed him and things. He's one of the nicest guys out there. To be able to maybe talk to him now, everyone knows his story and all that, but I would love to just pick his brain as a writer, not as a wrestler, because we all know that Mick Foley, the wrestler, but Mick Foley, the writer. I think that'd be pretty cool to find out why he went into writing, why he became a writer, and what it means to him to be a best-selling author.
If you do want to go down the Vince book, I do have a name I can give you. Look under Big Business. He was Dave was actually a doorman at the what's the right word? Condo complex or luxury apartments for Vince for numerous years. So he saw some things between Vince. I forget what episode we had him on, but he went into detail about some of the relationship of the most current allegations that happened against Vince with the court documents, and we actually broke them down with Dave. So he could be an interesting guest if you ever wanted. And the fact that it has New England roots, I'm sure we can find some other people that would have some stories willing to lend, if that's something you want to go down.
Absolutely. I think another one obviously would be the Chris Benoit stuff. I think that there's a lot of information there that's never been put out. I think that would be an interesting way to look at his tragic ending as well.
Well, we have to put it out there. It's not connected, but it kind of is. Last week we did lose Kevin Sullivan. He did pass.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he is connected, with that story, especially with the relationship from the early time, from the matches he had in WCW, being a booker, Benoit dating Kevin Sullivan's ex-wife. So yeah, it's definitely there's some stories on that connection. But on behalf of everyone in Showcase, being a Boston guy. I remember the first time I ever saw a picture of Kevin Sullivan was down in Florida when it was really big. Everybody thought he was a devil worshiper. This is back. I think I was in the 7th grade, and I think I got the wrestling magazine taken away. I think it was Wrestling Scenes, because it was too bloody, even though it was black and white with one probably colored photo in it.
Taskmaster.
I can remember getting a wrestling magazine taken from me. I think I was probably in 3rd or 4th grade, and I guess there were pictures of some of the scantily clad women in them. And a friend's dad found it at his house and told my dad. And honest to God, I didn't even think the pictures were that bad. But man, I got a whooping for them. So.
And which one was it?
I honestly don't remember who was even in the magazine.
Yeah,
it would have been like 1989, 1990-ish. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, no, you could have. Well, I was going to say if it's in the later 80s, I was thinking like Doc Journey, Sunshine.
Yeah.
Could have Sherry Martel, Baby Doll.
Yep.
You probably well, if it was Sunny, then you could have been in trouble. So.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
All right. So if anybody wants to find you on social media, where can they find you?
So you can find me on Facebook, Dr. J.M. Housewright. You can find me on Instagram, Dr. Jeremy Housewright. And you can find me on Twitter at Dr. Housewright81. And then, of course, on my personal website, jeremyhousewright.com.
All right. And what about links? You want to put up, Danny, you want to put up links again for the book? Again, if everybody wants a nice, easy read, yes, we still have time for the summer to go out to the beach. It's a good book. It's an easy read. And
it's only $11 too.
Especially those who don't like wrestling, it's a story of why you should actually like pro wrestling. Or maybe parents and guardians going to understand why people actually do like wrestling. With that being said, Jeremy, I do thank you for being a guest. We will have you on down the road. Don't be a stranger. I love seeing your social media. I like seeing what's going on in your neck of the woods.
Right on.
All right.
Appreciate it, guys.
I thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Danny, what questions do we have coming off on the chat room on that?
Questions, Dan Alves is in the chat room. He wants to know, do I do another promo?
What? What do you
He wants
say?
to know if he has to do another promo. I don't know what that means,
What's
but
your other question?
he wants to know who's missing. Did say,
Who was missing?
yeah, MIA. It was done.
Who's missing? Who's
You
he
know-
talking about?
Now, there's a slight variation, approximately probably like 80 pounds, tan complex. Well, you're moodier than Don Vega is.
Moody?
but
Nah, I'll be-
you are moody. And we'll get into a reason why. All right. Any other questions on the chat room?
Nope.
All right. So I do not know what Joel Davis is next. We know we had a big
Yeah.
set last Thursday down in Wakefield. You can find him at Real Deal Fitness. He has the clip up there now. If by the end Danny tells me where Joel Davis will be next, we'll definitely put it out there. That being said, let's go into some plugs coming up. You got the plugs? You want to go through them?
Yeah, write them all down.
All right, do it in English and Spanish, just like Don Vega does for us.
That I can't not do. All right. So
All right,
August.
then just do it in Spanish.
It's a weird question. I don't understand it.
Spanish?
Anyways.
Other question. What are you, so kid?
I'm not slow. I'm just trying to tell you.
All right, go on, go.
Had a rough week. Okay.
We'll get into it. Technically, that was last week, not this week.
Well,
You had a tough last week, not a tough this week.
whatever. Like whatever.
All right,
Okay.
give us the plugs.
All right. So August 16th, Royal Crown Wrestling will be down by American Legion Post 45, Medford, Mass. 7:30 bell time. That'll be a Friday. Big show stacked up. Very huge show. We got a little Rumble action going
Got a
on.
Rumble. Now, I know a lot of talent from Showcase Wrestling will be on it. It is going for the vacant.
The Vacant.
Well, actually the first crowning of the first Royal Crown Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. And I know a friend of yours will be on there.
A friend of mine.
AZ will be on there, which we'll talk about very shortly.
And Chris Spratt, he's going to be there.
Christopher
too.
Spratt will be on there, and all the great talent coming down. So you got a link right there. All right, I'm going off memory, but if you focus on look under Royal Crown Wrestling, tickets are still available on there. That's the best way right there. Follow
Tomorrow
them
night.
all on social media. The next night, where do we go, Danny?
The next night, we're gonna be back in Showcase Pro. That's my gimmick here. Come
Oh,
on.
okay.
We're going back to Franklin, Massachusetts, for a Showcase Pro Wrestling. That's right, and for the first time ever, we're gonna have the debut of Brian Starr down in the friggin' Elks Lodge. Massive debut for a big time guy, but also other matches.
All the matches we do.
We got Don Vega, rest in peace, because he's not here right now. We're going
You're
against,
really missing in action.
well, not really, but he's going against Jay Messias, right? One half of Queens of, what's the name again? The Queens Get the Money? They're from New York, so it's a long name.
I'm gonna tell him you screwed up,
Whatever, I don't screw up.
buddy. Danny just put it right down there.
And Don Vega, he's soon to be the former Showcase Pro Wrestling Tag Team
Boy,
Champion.
I'll be honest with you. You keep saying former. It's not good to be in this room. 'Cause
Yeah, last time I
everyone is
checked,
in this
it's the
room is
champion.
losing titles. Now, with that being said, we are at the Franklin Elks 7:07 bell time, 10:77 Franklin. At the good part about that, every time we go there, people don't realize this. Every time we go there, we work with the Elks, and we work. Typically, the Elks are doing a portion of the proceeds go to a veteran organizations. We always have done Veterans for Oil. This time, we are teaming up with a veteran organization regarding housing for veterans. So, even if you don't like wrestling, come on down, watch a great show. Again,
2 big title matches too, man. Yeah, which we could tie into Danny here, but right here, the World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Rambo Godfrey defending against Patrick Fitzpatrick. That's a tongue twister right there. And also,
This is me.
the rematch: Danny Cabral versus the inconsistent one.
it is
AZ.
now a rematch. We will get into that very shortly. So, all the stars of Showcase Pro Wrestling. Showcase Pro Wrestling presents Heat this Saturday night. You can get tickets online, and they'll be available at the door. All-age show, all access, handicap accessible. Food and drinks will be available. It's always a great time. With that being said, Danny, why don't we not go into September? Because I know you're frustrated. You have a story. Do you want me to tell what happened? Or, or should we start going to all the results that happened in Woonsocket, and then well, you were in the main event.
It was the main event.
Danny, tell me the card.
Okay, so the main event.
Well, no.
We'll get to that later.
I know you're
Right.
jumpy.
So last week was
Last
Saturday,
week.
right? August 10th. We're back in.
All right, forget about one. Can you tell me about that one? That was awesome.
Okay, listen.
All right,
we
tell
saw,
me about that one.
We saw the debut of the Stallion,
Blake Stallion.
Blake Stallion, going one-on-one with the malpractice doctor, Roger Williams. And I believe that was the 3rd match on the card.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was great. Blake Stallion is an up-and-comer. First debut match. He had friends and family there. They had signs. They had shirts.
They were galloping.
Oh
my God, it's crazy.
It was good. And again, I tell people this all the time. It's 3 things in life that is an awesome feeling. Most people don't experience 2. All right, having a kid, having your first marriage.
Your first marriage.
Yeah, my impression the second one probably doesn't go well. I'm not going 2. I'm gonna go 1. Kids. Danny, how many kids do you have?
1.
You have
that I
one,
know
all
of.
right.
Just one.
Danny has one that you know of.
Yeah.
Well, the idea,
Come on, Donnie.
that
We got
feeling
one.
of being a parent and
One.
seeing that kid, is the pureness of life right there. And going through that curtain as a wrestler, there was nothing like it. That you can duplicate over and over and over again.
Yep.
So I'm glad. Now, people didn't know this. It was Stallion's birthday the next
day?
Next day.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
I've seen Stallion come here in the beginning when he was trained with us.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I thought maybe he's not going to cut out for it, but then he keeps coming back.
He is.
He keeps
and
coming back.
And I tell people straight out, if you never thought of quitting, you're not doing it right. Because some days it sucks.
It sucks.
It's mentally draining. It's physically draining. Some days you just want to quit. And guess what? You can quit today if you come back tomorrow.
What about the first match, man? Logan against Spratt.
All right. I was trying.
George,
Nelly.
Wait a sec. We'll get to that, okay? So the first match, it was
Yeah, Logan
Were you
against.
going to say Logan Paul?
no, I was gonna say
Logan Maki?
no, this guy. I don't want to say his name because I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
He came out drunk with Damien. What the heck was that? They were tripping all over the place. How the hell was Spratt
Former
winning?
mentor, former Sons of Liberty champion, former tag team champion,
Yes.
former,
A lot of formers.
former educator from Harvard, Christopher Spratt, with his new friend, the Damien,
Hi,
versus
Damien.
Logan Macchia. I do not know how Spratt got in that ring, and I do not know how he beat Logan. I
Dropped the ball on that one, man.
Well, I think
he was I don't understand
it's the Damien, right?
because he looked like he was under some influence, and then near the end something else happened. Like, he didn't take a drink. I don't know what he did, but
He did something.
it sobered him up like that, and he was a schmuck again.
Maybe it was like extra caffeinated.
And then he got the win, and that's why I thought Logan was going to get a big win.
I thought so too.
You know,
Well, I think the only reason why Spratt won because that 15-minute entrance he takes to get down to the ring and just bores the whole crowd out there. Everybody falls asleep, and
It could be,
It's a
no,
quick
but
entrance,
with that being said, that was Logan's last match in
Yes.
Showcase Pro Wrestling. He is actually going off to college.
He's getting educated.
He's getting educated. So, Logan, we wish you luck in the college year. The door is always open. We hopefully see him in between the fall season and coming back in the spring. So, great job. All right, match number 2. What do you got?
Match number 2.
so me and Buck against Matt Thompson, Matera.
Yeah, you want to tell the story how that happened? It was supposed to be a singles match?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, why don't you tell the whole story?
All right, well, Buck decided to take on Big Matt Thompson, which I kind of advise him not to because me and Matt's been at it several times, and what an awesome athlete Matt is. I have to hand it to him. But, however, things got a little out of control. I kind of got involved, but not really. Then all of a sudden it turned into a handicap match.
Now we
Then
know
all of a
why I
sudden
sound.
Mattia comes out to
Oh,
join.
how I sound.
And it turns
Yeah,
into a
that's
tag
kinda
team match. So then in the end, I don't know why, but they disqualified us.
Yeah, that makes no sense, Madonna. Why would they do that?
The referee just got in our way, and we happened to push him by
I was
accident.
watching it.
You
Buck
know,
was manhandled. I bet the ref gave some discretion. Now, what you didn't mention is that Thompson went to the back, grabbed somebody who just returned, as in Chris Matrix.
That's right. The return of Chris Matrix.
So it could be something there
Plus
between
his
either you
Matrix, I don't
two
know.
or you four, but Dan, you gotta talk to Buck. You can't manhandle the official. You can lie and cheat behind their backs. You just don't get caught, and you don't put your
Well, I
hands
think
on
what
them.
you went to go swing at Matt, and the referee got in the way.
His face got in the way?
Yeah, his face
All
got
right,
in the
all right,
way.
good
I mean,
excuse.
come on, he's a big man.
All right, what do we got?
Oh, right, whatever. What the? Third match. Oh, Rambo versus Osiris. Big match.
Big match that I don't think really should have happened.
You don't think so?
I don't think it should have happened. They were scheduled last month in a tag match against Don Vega and Alex.
Ah, yeah.
Transportation issues.
Someone slashes tires. That's not an accident.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
Whatever.
You know.
But
And
still.
Rambo was upset, rightfully so, and he confronted him. I just think they should have just talked it out. Maybe had some drinks, over at Coco's, but no, they didn't. They had a match. I don't know. I still like them as a tag team. So I think they are on better terms right now, but
Yeah, totally.
is they going to be a tag team or not? I think it's kind of hard to be a tag team with heavyweight champion because the champion is only focused on one thing,
Right.
winning in himself. All right, what else you got?
In the fifth match, we got
Uh,
the Brother Moon, Revan, going against Jay Evans for the YouTube World Championship.
now, I know Jay was extremely happy. He was. Some of you don't know the story, right?
Yeah.
So, poor Jay, right? He was supposed to wrestle in Taunton in June
Right.
for the YouTube Championship, and he didn't because that's when D-Rex announced that he had to relinquish a belt and, is out with injury. We don't know how long.
Yeah.
I made a judgment call because D-Rex looked like he wanted to just give him the belt, which you can't just give somebody a belt. I mean, you can get
Yeah, that's
you
unfair.
can get a tattoo. So I know Jay was upset. I know D-Rex was a little bit pissy, but hey, you can't just give stuff. So Jay felt he got screwed because Revan came out. The match happened really quick. Jay didn't see it coming. 1, 2, 3. Last month in Woonsocket, Jay Evans versus Brother Moon. That did not happen.
Not happen.
Roger Williams, again, Jay Evans got attacked again. Something happened at the end. This is, I don't know, was smoke coming out.
Smoke and mirrors.
Well, literally.
Well, yeah.
Jay got pulled over to the back. 1, 2, 3. Nothing happened on that one too.
Yeah.
So this time he actually had an opponent. He was in the ring. I thought he was doing pretty good. And I think, Jay, if you listen to this, if you're not, listen to it tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock at the gym. Do not go outside, Jay. If you anything have you found out the last 3 times you're in the ring for the U2 title, when you go outside, something happens. Stay in the ring, stay focused, and you'll be fine. I'm not saying fine is he'll win, but his odds of winning in the ring is going to be so much better if you're actually in the ring than outside worrying about things.
It's kind of hard to do when your opponent's leaving the ring, you know?
Stay in the ring. Kind of like with Danny. I tell Danny, don't pick people up. He loves picking things up. Jay, stay in the ring.
I like picking them up and slamming them down.
Stop picking them up, Danny. All right, what do we got?
And okay.
This is a rematch.
This was
Was it you?
Yeah.
Danny Cabral, the SPW Sons of Liberty champion versus the consistent one, AZ, with his manager. What's his manager's name?
Oh, his manager?
Yeah, what's his manager's name?
Well, apparently,
What's his name?
his name was Matt Michelson.
That's very
Weird, right?
interesting.
Wears a little suit, and he's, oddly enough, AZ's hair protection service.
So just to let you know, in a couple of weeks, we will be having AZ and Matt in the studio, just like there, to go over their story, their history. Great story there. You may not like it, especially when we tell what happened.
Well,
but,
it's a stupid story, you know?
It's actually a good story. I kind of like it.
And we got some comments and questions in the chat when you're ready.
Well, let's finish talking about how Danny lost.
Let's get to the
I mean,
questions.
he came in second. No, all right.
Well, I mean,
so what happened, Danny? Right?
I
So
was
you don't
came
have the
first, by the
title. You have no title, no belt. You're not a
Why are you
champion.
instigating? You always instigate.
What are you talking about?
I wonder
Just tell
Vega's
the
not
truth.
here because you always instigate. That's why.
Do you have the belt?
I don't have it right now with me, but I'll get it like after Saturday, which we'll get to later.
So what happened?
So I'll tell you from my point of
All
view.
right, the last 10 seconds of the match, what happened?
Big mirror, bam, I'm down. Ref doesn't see. That's it.
So you're looking in the mirror in the bathroom.
No, Michelson, without the referee looking, when he was knocked out, hit me with a mirror in my back. That's how it happens. Like,
And then what happened?
I'm incapacitated. I'm in a lot of pain. There's shards of glass on the ring.
All right. And what
Watch the
happened?
footage, right? And I lost. What kind of man gets his other guy to smash his back with the mirror? Who does that?
Well, just to let you know, it is legal to have a manager at ringside.
No. What isn't legal is PG. There goes the money.
Actually, this is the podcast. We do let things,
Okay, so regardless,
fly. I did have the Danny was so upset when he got here.
regardless, AZ cheated to win the belts.
All right. So with that being said, we have a rematch coming up this Saturday in Taunton and Franklin. Now, you made a couple of calls. I know you're very upset. You stopped at Sergeant Muldoon's house this week.
I did.
And what do you got?
I'm glad you mentioned that. I went down to Sarge's old place, right? We had a barbecue too. But coming this Saturday, I'm getting AZ's hair protection service, dude. And I'm gonna handcuff him to the ring. It ain't fuzzy, but we'll get the job done too.
Oh, wow.
Real steel. That's real deal Joe State.
Yeah, this is what Sarge used to use
Oh, yeah.
when he was a correction officer. So that being said, the stipulation is
Joe Davis steel.
Matt Matheson will be at ringside, will be handcuffed at ringside. So we cannot, hopefully, interfere.
That's right, yeah.
So you are welcome. Don Vega, you are welcome, because you always say I'm up to shenanigans.
I still are.
What are you talking about? I got the match done. I signed it. I called Sarge for you. We got the cuffs for you. What else do you want? Want me to wrestle for you, too? Hey,
No.
Want to be a manager?
Don't bring the slaboo pants again.
I'll be your manager. You want to be a manager?
No, I'm sure you could be a fine manager, just not for my benefit, you know?
All right. So just so people know there, I did offer to be Dan Cabral's manager this Saturday night to even the score.
Even the odds, whatever.
All right, but you don't want it. But that's fine.
Nah, I can do this myself.
All right, that's more than fine. But Don Vega, I did put it out there. All right, what are those comments right there in the chat room?
All right, comments in the chat. 1 second here.
Not for me.
So we got Amanda B is asking, is this the school that trained Dreamer?
Tommy Dreamer?
What
Dreamer?
All right, so I think she's talking about there's somebody on social media called the Dreamer. We know him more as Boston Dan.
Is he called the Dreamer because he always get good cussed?
No, but I think that's what she's talking about. So yeah, if you're talking about that Dreamer, yes, we call him Boston Dan. He is training at our school. He's been here, I think, since March, and he's actually doing a pretty good job. So you will be seeing him in the time to come. He will be making his debut through Showcase Pro Wrestling. He's actually doing a fine job. So.
Yeah.
But do me a favor. What's her name again?
Amanda B.
So Amanda, do me a favor. Make sure you keep him out of drive-throughs. If you see him in the New Bedford area, keep him out of anything that he has to order his dinner through a microphone. All right. But he's doing pretty well, and Xavier is actually doing pretty well too.
Yeah, they're both doing
They're doing
good
well.
stuff.
So.
And Julian Myers is asking, I've been watching for 2 months, and it seems like it's all the same wrestlers all the time. I hope we could get some new talent. I did tell her that.
Now, is this the person from last week?
I think so, yeah.
All right. So Danny, we have 2 talent that's coming back from New York, and we have a new talent coming with Brian. So that's 3 fresh faces that you will see in Franklin. So that being said, how much more fresh do you want? How many more people do you want? We're giving you 3 people that you've never seen, because we're glad that you've been watching Showcase Pro Wrestling. But if you've only seen us for 2 months, what about the past 17 years? When you're talking about diversity and people being up and down the road with people. So, be in Franklin this Saturday night, 1077 Pond Street. Anyone who doesn't know where it is, it's really 22 minutes from Woonsocket. All of our Woonsocket fans, Woonsocket is building up really well the last couple of months. You can just go the back roads through Blackstone and get there. Again, tickets you can't get out the door. But, yeah, those are 3 talent that you haven't seen before.
And plus the students coming up soon, too. You got some good
And
talent.
that's too, man.
Training.
And people forget that. We use diverse talent. We use talent building through Showcase Wrestling, literally raw and uncut. The talent come through just like the Stallion. Right, and we use talent throughout. Typically, it's the Northeast. We've used talent coming over from Europe in the past. So it just all depends. So if you have any names, shoot them on social media at SP Wrestling. Say, hey, what about this guy? What about that girl? Always open to it. You have a name, put it out there.
Anyone could come.
And Julian commented to you, Danny. She said, or he, I think he or she, whatever. Forgive me for that. But he's saying that you look like Seth Rollins from Temu.
From where?
From who?
From Temu.
From Temu?
Yeah, Seth Rollins from Temu.
What's that mean? I don't think it's Seth Rollins.
Like a jacked up Seth Rollins, I guess.
Where's my yellow streak? I don't see it.
All right. What else we got?
And Amanda B says she was there on the 10th. It was a good show.
Awesome.
And she also said the handcuffs, you should get fuzzy ones, I guess.
See, fuzzy handcuffs. But a Sarge, they're not giving
Now,
any.
just to let you know, when we were talking about the stipulation, so many people offer their fuzzy handcuffs, which I thought was kind of weird.
Why would they have fuzzy handcuffs in by?
And I'm like, no, we're not doing fuzzy handcuffs.
Come
we're
on.
doing real handcuffs, so you can't get out.
But fuzzy handcuffs are so demure, as the TikTok guys would say, right?
Yeah.
Demure, like.
Yeah. So hopefully, Amanda, we do hope you come down to Franklin to see Danny Cabral with his handcuffs from Sergeant Muldoon, hopefully regaining Sons of Liberty Championship.
Well, I will regain it.
All right.
I'll get it back. I never lose.
Do we ever find what Joe Davis is going to be next?
No, I messaged him. He hasn't got back to me
All right,
yet.
so
I don't
Joe-
think he's got a show this weekend. No, I think it was just last.
All right. So we will have that updated next week. We'll also.
Dan Al says, I'm doing a promo for Vegas. Missing. whatever that means. But
He probably meant Vega. All right, so
Vegas.
Dan, why don't you go to Foxborough Stadium?
Vegas missed him. So.
See if he's there. Check out the latest score. Eagles are playing tonight, right? Is it the Eagles and the Patriots?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm like guessing that because I saw a little killer head.
I don't watch soccer, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I don't watch.
All right, right now it's fourth quarter, 1:55 left. The Eagles are ahead by
the
1
Eagles
point.
are winning then. By
So he's all
one
right.
point. That's funny.
So yeah, all right. So Danny, you're breaking one of the cardinal rules. We do not talk about sports on the Showcase Wrestling
I was
Pod.
pulling out the score.
All right.
Like it's right there. I see the screen. It's right there. The fans at home see it. I'm just saying, Vega's gonna come home happy.
Listen, it's preseason. This is when they find out who they want to keep or not keep. So, all right. Anything up from the chat, Danny? Is that it?
And yeah, she says she works out next door. So anybody wants Woonsocket, if you want to hit up Powerhouse Gym, it's right next to the Showcase Pro Wrestling Arena. And Powerhouse Gym is an awesome gym over there, guys. So, and we would encourage you, people, Amanda, and let your fellow gym members know. We're always looking for wrestlers. If you want to become a pro wrestler or anybody in your gym wants to, you go into the gym, that's half the battle already. So come next door, do some professional wrestling training Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. every night. And yeah, you go to the gym, then come over to do some pro wrestling training, and you'll be good to go.
All right, we do thank you for the plug. So with that being said, if you ever want to be a pro wrestler, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from 6:30 to 9:30, come on down. Now that is for wrestler, referee. We've been starting to get new inquiries for announcer and commentating. So I did get some inquiries this week. Those who reached out to me in the Boston area, you know who you are. I'll be reaching out to you. Should be tomorrow in regards to how to fill that role. That being said, Danny, social media. You want to give me a social media plug for yourself?
Yeah, I got an Instagram. It's the Danny Cabral. It's just straight up the Danny Cabral. You know, I'm not a big social media guy, but you know, it's okay.
All right. So, Danny, I was hoping to have you on here another time to really get to know you, but I know you were quite unhappy with what happened and you wanted to get the word out quick. So, that being said, we will have the full story of Danny Cabral down the line from little baby Danny to current Danny, where he's going, how he got here, what the future holds. Maybe we'll have you in early September. How's that? And we could have some new good stories, new championships to tell the people by then. Sound good?
And could this be the scene tomorrow night, guys? Franklin, Massachusetts. Could this be the scene when Danny takes back his championship?
That was a big night. That was a big
When he won the championship? No, that was good.
No, when I beat the brakes off of Sprat. Just beat on Sprat. The championship, that was cool, but beating on Sprat.
Well, that's another story. Which, when you come on here to tell your story, we can tell the story about you and Sprat, which is very inspirational to a degree.
To a degree.
And very manipulative, too.
Yeah.
So, that being said, we do thank you for joining us on the Showcase Pod. Always on Thursday night at 9 p.m. Always visit us on all social media at SP Wrestling. ShowcaseWrestling.com for inquiries for having birthday parties, pro wrestling events, charity events. Also, we're booking for fundraisers too, but fundraisers for the fall and/or for the winter time for winter sports, or even spring sports. It happens so quick. But yeah, any inquiries, send them there. On behalf of Dan Badandi, young Danny Cabral, I am Chris Blackheart without Don Vega because he is missing in action at an Eagles game. With that being said, thank you and have a good night.